Welcome back. My name's Levi from the IO Revelations. Some of you may know me as Paper Planes on Discord. And today I got something super excited to tell you about. After speaking to some of the devs at Oceanology, they're actually talking about giving a couple keys away for the Oceanology plugin. And they just released the 5.1.7. 5.1.8 is coming up, and 5.6 is right around the corner, which is going to also feature shoreline waves, a few extra things like that, which I'm really excited about, and they actually look totally awesome. But for right now, we're going to go and we're going to just go through the setup procedure of just getting started with Oceanology. This is for people that have not used it and don't know exactly where or what they need to do to get it set up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our Epic Marketplace, and you could just search Oceanology. It'll pop right up, and this is where you can get it. And if you look down here, you'll get all of your information, so you can get your Discord and documentation. You'll have to verify in Discord to get all the documentation and everything. And once that's done, you'll open up the Discord itself, where you can go through and get all of the information that you'll need and speak to other people that are working on it. Or if you have a project, say you want water that's stylized, there are people on there that definitely have done that, so you can ask around a little bit and find out how to do that. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and go into our library system. We'll go ahead and click on Oceanology, and that's the wrong one. We'll click on Oceanology, and we can install directly here into the engine. Right now I'm using 5.3.2. This one is already installed, just because that does take a little while to download and install. And once that's done, we can go ahead and hop in and open up our 5.3.2 browser and create a new game. And you can do blank or add in any of the options that you want here. Go ahead and name it what you want. Turn on or off ray tracing, keep your maximum in your desktop, and then create your new game. I already have one created just because that does take a little while to compile all the shaders and everything, and we're going to go ahead and open that up. And this will probably take about a minute just to get all the shaders that I didn't get, because I did do a couple plugins and everything. So the plugins that I'm going to use are added in, and we have some plugins, a few plugins that we're going to use just to simplify things just a little bit. So the first one we're going to do is go ahead into our settings. Once this is set up, you'll see your manage plugins here. And that's because we have some plugins installed, but we don't have them enabled yet. So you're actually going to go into your plugins bar like this. You can go ahead and type in Ocean, and you should see Oceanology 5, which we'll go ahead and tick on that one. And I have a few more, so I'm going to really quickly put those on just to make sure they're done. These are just ones that I always use. Let's go ahead and turn that one on, and we'll turn on the electric. Whoops. We'll turn that one on. And the last one, so I use quite a bit of Brushify. And to use Brushify with all of their brushes, which we'll play around with here in just a little bit, you're actually going to use the landmass plugin. And that will help the Brushify plugins work. So let's go ahead and X out of there. We've already got that done. So it did pop up if you want to restart, which you will want to do. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to just exit out and restart it, and then I'll just skip back when it's open. And here we are. We're back. So you're going to get a default map like this, which is not what we're going to use. We're actually going to create a new map right now. But since this is the new version, 5.1.7, we're going to go ahead and take a look at a couple of the features really quickly that they added in some of their maps, which is really, really cool. So the first thing we're going to do is whenever you get yours, once again, I'm going to iterate that sometimes the plugin and the show engine content folder, so you won't actually see those here on the bottom, and you won't be able to get to the plugins. So you're going to actually want to go up here in your dock menu, and if you don't know how to do that, you can control spacebar to open it, control spacebar to close. Once you have it open, you can actually dock in layer if you dock in the layout, just like you did back in the old 4.27 days, stuff like that. Personally, I kind of got used to not using it that way, so if you want to get rid of it, just hit the little X here and control space to open it. It just keeps it out of the way, gives you more room to look at everything. So hit your settings, go ahead and engine, and you also want to make sure you put on your plugin to show that folder as well. And then we can hit our engines, go into plugins, and then scroll down to Oceanology right here. And let's take a look at some of these new maps that they have, which is pretty awesome. Before we do anything real quick, I'm just going to open it up. Let's go ahead and pull it here. And there is one thing that you will want to address once you have it and you are verified. There's some extra code that you can put in just to make the render times a little faster and also make it a little bit smoother on the water. So this is base right out of the box. This is what you'll get is the second that you plug everything in. Once you're verified, you can go into your Discord and you're going to look at the Oceanology 5.1.6. This is the code that it'll give you all of the code that you're going to add in. And once you have that code, you're going to exit out of Oceanology once again. And we're just going to speed through this real quick so we can get it done. You're going to go into your main storage Y, or in most cases, it's actually going to be in your documents, and then it'll be in your Unreal projects. I just use another hard drive to have more space there. So I'm going to go into the Unreal projects. I'm going to get my Oceanology starter pack. This is the actual project that we're working on. I'm going to go to the config, and I want to go to the default engine INI. And you're going to see right here, we have the render settings, script engine render settings. The code that you will get there will be a little bit longer string with a lot of extra code to maximize your render settings to get the water to run smooth and get some really good frame rate. I mean, right now the frame rate was great, but we can actually get more. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to jump through right now. I'm going to add my code in here. And the way you're going to do it is you're actually going to copy, you're going to just select all of this and replace all of this with the code that you're going to get. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and add mine in, and I'll see you in just a moment when I'm back in the editor. All right, here we are back in again, exactly where we were. Just had to let a few shaders compile and everything so we could get back in here. And once again, we can go back through the few maps that we had for the larger waves. And these waves are very, very customizable. And let me go ahead and just throw this on for now. So this is running just the wave engine itself right now at 120, and you have to understand that I'm actually recording high definition video, and I'm actually recording audio on another program as well called Pro Tools, which is super hungry. So it definitely works very well. And if you want to maximize just a little bit, I'll give you a quick one here. So if you go into your settings, we can go into our project settings, go into our rendering. I've already done all this, but I'll show you where they are. So the most important ones is that these right here will be set to lumen, and lumen for these two. And you will also have this one set to virtual shadow maps, which gives very, very nice a look to everything. But if you see, it is running us a little bit less. We're running about 115 with both those on, which isn't much right now. But once you have a world built, and then you have a whole bunch of trees and everything that are moving and AI and stuff, you'll start seeing that degrade even further. It looks really good for smaller things, but when you're doing large, giant open worlds, I actually prefer to just go with the old school. Drop the lumen for right now. It looks amazing, but you really don't lose all that much when you're not using the lumen. So I am going to put it back on screen space beta on both of these. And I will put my shadow maps back here again so we can get back up and peg it at 120. All right, so perfect. So now we're going to go ahead and jump into a couple of the new features. So when we go in our demonstration maps, I have to find this one real quick. It was pretty awesome. So I believe we had, not this one, we had the, this one here. This one is interesting, but you can take a look at that one. I had a few more that I wanted to see. I guess it's in the physics. So we do have this one here, which is really cool. So let's go ahead and drop out the background. So if you saw those boxes there, if you want to get rid of those, you can push G or game key to get rid of any. So if you're even highlighting, you can push G to quickly look at it without all that. So this is a little map that they put together to show you some of the functionality that they added into the ship. Which you'll get right out of the box, and you can actually play and drive your ship around and see how the functionality of the waves are on the ship. Now, adding in things like ocean spray and stuff like that, that's generally done with Niagara particle systems, which is one of the things I'm working on right now in my game as well. But you definitely have the buoyancy, and you definitely have it following the ocean waves really well. And like I said, this whole thing is already in there, so you can actually break it apart in this ship and look and see how they done it, or even copy it into other vehicles if you wanted. So for now, we're going to go ahead and call that, because I thought that was really cool and worth showing. And another really nice one that we have is they updated the new open world horizon map. This one's going to take a second to load, so I'm going to get back to you as soon as it gets, because I just opened it for the first time. All right, everything loaded up for me there. And if you look at this now, it is massive, just to show exactly what you can do here. I haven't changed any of the settings here, and I haven't set the RVTs, so you do have to set the RVT render targets for it to work. We'll get into that a little bit later and how to set those up and everything. But for right now, I just wanted to show you this new setup they have. They actually have a really cool, where did they hide it from me? I know it's here. Where did you go? So they did add some pretty cool new features and places to look at, so you can just run around the island and find all these cool things. Here we go. So we got us a little cave right here they have set up. Make some really cool settings there. You can also push G once again to get rid of all the icons and everything out there. So I'm definitely going to leave you some time to play around with this one, because it's amazing. And you can learn a lot just by tearing apart this landscape and seeing exactly what they did there. And this is all world partitioned, and it loads and unloads as it should. Works very, very well. And of course, we do still have the underwater with all of the mini bubbles. Let's see if we can get closer to shore here. There we go. With all of its functionality. Perfect. So now for the fun part, let's go ahead and let's build something new. So we're going to go up to File, we're going to go to New, and we're going to start with an empty open world. And we're going to create. So one of the big ones we're going to do is, usually you would go in, I'm actually going to use a few plugins, because these are just plugins that I use all the time. The first thing I'm going to do is open up my world partition and just go ahead and select a pretty good size area, just so I know everything's loaded in. Because you can play with what's loading and what's not loading later. So right now I want to see everything while we're working on it. So generally the first thing you do is go into Windows and then go into your light mixer, your environmental light mixer right here, and you can create your lights like this. And voila, let there be light. Haha. But we're not going to do it that way. I'm actually going to delete all these because one thing that I do use a lot, and when you really get into this, I would suggest you try it out at some point, is the Ultra Dynamic Sky. It is by far the best day-night cycle light setup you can get on the marketplace. And one thing is right now you'll see that it's in a odd position. So if you look here, you can see your position. We actually want to reset that, so we're just going to set it to 0, and then we can adjust the height of the fog a little later just by moving it up and down. So there's our 0. We were way off. Perfect. So once we have that set, now we can go ahead and start building in our landscape. So we can go up to the select mode, go into landscape, and we're going to do a fairly decent one. I'm going to get as big as I can with running all this gear and doing the video without too much waiting for loading and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a 127 by 2 by 2, and we're going to go ahead and create that. So that's going to give us a 2033 by 2033 resolution. You can also check it if you click on landscape. You can check what your resolution here is for your overall, and that'll help you when you're deciding also what textures to use, especially if you're using Brushify like I will be for this. So we are going to go ahead and start that now. So if you select your main landscape, so if you open it, you'll have all your proxies for your individual landscape. So these can load in and out as you're playing the game and stream. We're just going to do the main here, which will change all the values on all of them at once. We can go down to the landscape material, and I already know that this one will be 2041 for my size. I'm going to choose the second one here. And that'll load in. It should turn black like this. That's exactly what we want. So this one is the Brushify auto material. And this is not just Brushify auto material. This is actually the Brushify complete pack. So it will come with a whole bunch of brushes that we can actually use to edit this landscape. Generally, what I would do is I would use Gaia, which I have here, to make a base landscape with all the valleys and all that stuff that I want. And then I would use Brushify just to add sparkle to it and add little pieces. Right now, we're just going to build something fairly quickly, and we're just going to use Brushify Alpha Mask to do that. And you can get something really nice too. So right now, we're going to, this one is bothering me. So we're going to go ahead and disable the screen messages like that, just so I don't have to keep looking at that until I start building anyway, because I will, but I don't need to do it right now. So let's go ahead and open up our landscape. We're going to go into our paint system. Now that we have our landscape added, we're going to have to assign weights to these. That way, when you paint on, you can assign your weights to which one of these auto materials will take that space. So we'll go ahead and click on the first one. These are going to be the weighted blends. Not all of them will be the same. See, once we got that first one on, you can see that it already filled that one because the whole map is already done with the grass. We can go for the second one here. And we're going to use weighted on all of them except the last one, and I'll show you why and exactly what that does. So let's go ahead and put all these on. Most of these we're not going to use, but I do put them all because one of the beautiful things that I really like about Brushify is that it's very easy to customize what textures you're using and how the textures work and everything. So all I would do is just change the names of these and add in the texturing that I want. Instead of, like, say this one is crater, so this is for the moon. You can actually make it like another, say, mud layer, call it mud 2, and add a different mud texture. So this last one down here will be different. So when we click on this one, we're going to actually do the non-weighted blend because we don't want to assign a weighted blend to this. The only thing this is going to do is remove any grass. So if we go in there and let's go ahead and build everything real quick. Oh, you know what it is? I gotta save. Let me save. We're gonna go all the way to the top. Let's go ahead and make this a new folder called maps. And we'll call this one our map. And once we save that, let's go ahead and build again. Build grass maps. All right, there we go. I just had to take it off and reapply it. I'm not sure. Sometimes Unreal Engine just says, nope, you can't do that. But I do have it set up now. So you can see we have plenty of grass in here. And where were we at a minute ago? So if we go back into our foliage setup and we go back to our paint, we have this last one down here, which is remove procedural. And we can actually grab that, give us a nice small brush, and we can paint out the, I did not set that for some reason. Give me 1 second. Let me finish these real quick. Grass dry. Desert. Forest. Forest dry. Snow. Beach. Dunes. Mud. Puddles. Craters. And the procedural. All right, perfect. I put all those back on. For some reason, when I took it off, I forgot. It removes all those and I have to re-add them. So now we have our remove procedural. This is the one we added to the non-weighted blend. And when you use this one, all it's going to do is get rid of the grass in that area, or whatever foliage that you have using the grass node will be removed from here. And we can shift to bring that back. And we actually have quite a few. So if we select, say, the forest and we add that in, then you're going to see we're going to get a little bit different set of items. So we have a few sticks and some other flowers, things like that, that are a little different than our grass. And we can also do the same there. So if we use this here, we can actually remove that as well. But you can take those out completely or individually, whichever ones you don't want as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this back to grass. And I do have to use this one again because it will leave that there. And you just shift on that one to bring it back. So, or excuse me, yeah, shift. So if you press down and paint it, you're going to take it away. Shift, you're going to put it back. Just like that. Perfect. All right, and now one of the reasons that we were using the Brushify, so we're going to go ahead into our sculpt, and we're going to use 2 layers. So we're going to create a new layer, and this one is going to be called our sculpt layer. And this is the one that we'll be doing all of our sculpt brushes on, and this layer will be the ones that we will actually use for all of our blueprint Brushify assets. So we're going to go ahead right now and just start on those first. So we have Brushify in here, and we can bring in, once you hit your blueprint, and I already have it installed and I already have it loaded into the plugins, I get all of my Brushify items here that I can change with the alpha maps. So we're going to start off, we'll add a couple more lens in here real quick just to show you exactly what those can do. And we can do these real time. Push them up however you want. And let's just go on ahead and we'll just add a few of these in here. Let's do another, let's do a mountain. Put a mountain back here, and we're going to bring this one, we're not going to do it like that, we're actually going to scale it so we can get a little bit higher, and we'll scale it. And we're going to add another mountain just to give kind of a mountain range back here in the back. And we'll scale that one up real big. Move that one here. And bring that one about like this. Gives us a nice mountain set up there. And you can very, very quickly go through. And so you can see right now we're on the first layer. So if we rename this is our brush layer. We'll call this brush. So this is where all of our Brushify brushes are going to go. So each one of these is a different brush. And we're going to make sure this one's selected when we add these, because when we sculpt over top of them, so if you use your sculpting tools on top of the brushes, it will actually give you a few errors. The sculpt seems to work okay, but the one we're going to be using the most will probably be the smooth. And if we smooth these out, you'll see that it kind of bugs it a little bit. So you can't do it directly on the brushes. You have to use another layer. So now if we smooth them, you can see that it will smooth it without ruining it. So let's go ahead and undo that. Go back to our brush. Let's add in a few more cool things, and then we'll kind of do the edge around. So we're going to add kind of a, let's do kind of like an island type thing. I like to use the erosion brushes when I'm doing the island. And what we'll do, we'll put it here. We're going to scale it up really big, about like that. And we're going to invert it. So when we're on the landscape brushes and you have it selected, you have some options here. So you have your brush. You can actually change it here if you want to a different one. And you have your height and size. And the one thing we're going to do is we're going to minus this by 5,000. Just about like that. And now we can move this around and get it where we want it to be. Let's actually scale it a little bit more so we can get a nice edge there. And another thing we can do with it is we can fix this fall off. So this fall off is kind of heavy and I didn't really want that. So you have your edge fall off and you have your incline strength. I'm actually going to use the incline strength to try and bring that down a bit. No, let's leave that right about there. We're going to use the edge fall off. Go Go ahead and bring those edges down. And I think I have to go in the positive. That's right, because I inverted it. So we'll go in the positive a little bit just to bring those down a little so they're not quite so deep. About like that, just to give a little bit more valleys and stuff here in the mainland area. And then we can continue on and add a whole bunch of, here we'll add something really fun for a minute. Let's grab a volcano. Why not? Put a volcano right there. And we'll go ahead and scale that one way up like this. And why not? We'll scale it this way as well, just to make it a little bigger. So one of the fun things about these is that if you hit another brush with it, you'll see that they actually join together and it makes a really cool effect. So we're going to just go ahead and leave that like that. And I believe we're going to have a little bit of stepping, which is something we're going to have to take care of. So yeah, you can see it here. You can see all of our stepping here. And this just happens whenever you start changing the parameters or you start scaling up and down, but it's very easy to take care of. That's why we made this other sculpt brush. We're just going to go to our smooth. We're going to put it down to a value of 0.25. And we're going to make our brush size 12,000, which will give us a nice large brush. And then if we go back in here, we can push G to get rid of all the icons that were there. We can go ahead and just brush over this, and then you'll see it smooths it out real nice, but we're not taking out any of the detail. So we're going to do that in all the areas that would potentially have any stepping. That will be where it transitions down here. That's where you get the most stepping. So we'll get rid of all that. And with a 12,000 brush, we can do this pretty quickly. Like I said, I'm actually recording a bunch of stuff. Generally, I would be using a 36,000 brush, something like that. But this will get us there. Very cool. Alright, just checking to see if I see any more stepping real quick. We can always fix any of that later if we run into any. But I want to get the most of it I can right now. That looks fine. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually do some sculpting. So we're going to go ahead and make this into an island map. And the easiest way I found to do that, we're just going to pull this up pretty good on the tool strength. And we're going to go a little bit smaller on the brush. Maybe a little bigger than that. We'll go to the 8,000. That's fine. And we're going to give ourselves the area that we're going to use for the outline. So right now, if you click on it and hold, you're going to go up. We don't want to do that right now. We actually want to hold shift, and then you'll go into the negative like this. And now that we have a little valley there, this will be our water areas. We're just going to go ahead and flatten this out real quick. So you're going to grab your flatten tool, go ahead and put your tool strength to 1, and we're going to grab the lowest area. So wherever the middle point is, that's where you're going to flatten to. So if we grab the bottom and go this way, you'll flatten out to that depth. And that's fine. That's exactly what we want. So we'll leave those for right now. Let's just go ahead and get our perimeter. So we're going to bring this, bring this up in here like this. And then that's not as deep as it should be for some reason. So we'll bring this up in here like this. And we'll go all the way around like so. And then we're going to smooth all this out in just a little bit. Just right now, I'm just getting the base edge. And then we can add everything in here we need. Now this once again is something that you would probably end up doing in Gaia or something like that. But know that you can do this completely from scratch. And in my opinion, sometimes it looks more realistic because you don't get something procedural or something that's kind of, you know, generated several times over a certain area. So this can give you a more natural look. So we're going to go ahead here on this back side. We're going to just cut right into there. Just like that. Get rid of all this. And we'll cut right into here. We'll leave a little cutout right there. And now we can add in islands and stuff after we get the water in. Right now we're just giving ourselves that shore edge that we want. So once we have that in, now let's go ahead and just get rid of that as well. Now we can go ahead and smooth it out to give us the edging we want for the water surface. So we're going to go ahead and smooth. You want a fairly low value on this. And we're going to also bring down the just a little bit because we want to smooth out this edge only. You know what? Let's do a little bit heavier for now. I'm actually going to switch over really quickly to my Wacom tablet. Makes this way easier to do. Definitely a tool that I highly recommend if you're going to actually do this a lot. Let me get a higher brush. Go with a larger brush size. Let's go ahead and get this knocked out real quick. All right. So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to speed through this part. We'll do a little time lapse right here, and then you can see the finished when I'm done. And pretty much I'm just doing exactly the same thing that I'm doing here. A little bit of sculpting, a little bit of smoothing, a little bit of sculpting, a little bit of smoothing, trying to keep this edge where I want it for the landmass itself when we put the water in. So I'll get back to you here in just a moment when we're done. All right, and it looks like we're back to the beginning here. This is a fairly quickly little setup we got going on. We're actually going to bring some of this down a little bit because this is a little lower than I anticipated. So we can just grab some of this and pull it down like that just to get a little more interest there. Let's go back to our smooth. Shouldn't take too much. And there we go. All right, cool. So one thing that we want to look at when we're doing this is sometimes you will see areas like this right here. So we have a bit of stretching here. It doesn't really that bad on this, especially with Brushify because it has a auto stretch feature. So if it does see it stretching, it'll actually compensate for that. But you can soften it a little bit and you'll see a lot of that stretching going away. We actually have some here too. It's kind of hard to get away with on mountains, but I would generally use a different texture than this for the mountains anyway. In my opinion, the Brushify one that comes is, it could be a little bit heavier on the rock look because it's a bit light looking from this distance. Once you get in closer, you'll see it change to a much nicer rock, but from a distance, it's a little, it just looks gray. And yeah, I definitely do change that one out. So for now, this will work for us. This will give us a pretty good base for adding in some water. So let's go ahead and jump out. I'm going to switch away from my pen. Go ahead and grab the old mouse. And let's drop some water in here. Let's go down to our engine. We're going to go to the plugins. Let's go back and find our Oceanology. And this is pretty much how easy it is. There are a few steps that we'll have to take a little bit later, but for right now, this will definitely get us completely set up. We're going to go to Ocean, Blueprints, Ocean. We're going to use the Oceanology Infinite Ocean and pull that out. And now you can see how it's built out around there. So for right this minute, let's go ahead and look at our water line. Let me Z this out to 0, 0, 0. And we'll look at our water line and see where it's setting. That looks pretty good right about there, I think. Right about there. That looks pretty good. So right now, we're going to go ahead and save what we're working on, and you'll see the ocean come in. All right. Very cool. Okay, so the issue we're having right now with the water is we don't have any RVTs set up on this map. And the foam actually uses RVTs to determine where the landscape that it's touching is to add that foam there. We're not going to do the RVTs on this one yet. We'll get into RVTs on the next video because that's actually a video all in itself, just getting that set up. It's not complicated, but there's a lot of things you might want to tweak or change. So right now I think I can change the RVT settings here and bring the terrain max up. This one down. I think I can do the coastline. Is that the one? It's not going to work unless I have RVT set up. Okay, so that's fine. So, yep, on the next video, we will go ahead and add in the RVTs so we can get all this set up. You see we do have some underwater here, and we'll go ahead and set up that as well to try and get a better view of the underwater, like more what I'm used to, kind of a tropical vibe, tropical island paradise type vibe. And we'll set in a lake or two in here as well, and then after that we can start doing some foliage and just kind of build this world up. For right now, we'll just go ahead and take a look at the size of it really quickly, which I also told you at the beginning. So we have our ultra dynamic sky here. So right now we don't have all that much fog. So the way I like to do it is I just put it at 0, and you can actually increase your fog by raising it. And I generally raise it to the highest peak on my mountains, and then I'll put the density down a little bit more on this one. Yeah, that's about right there. We just have a shadow right there that's bugging us, so no big deal. You can actually change the cloud cover down a little, see everything as it should be. Kind of get a distance offset feel. Let's go a little higher on it like that, because this is actually a pretty good size map. I think it's like 25 square kilometers or so. It's not giant, but it's definitely something to play with. And for right now, let's drop in our character. So if we go into the world settings, we can go into the game mode override, and we have one here. I believe it is I believe it's this one here. No, that's the wrong one. That's Ocean Battleship. Third person mode. Oceanology. Let's try that one. That should add our character in. Third person character. Okay, that looks perfect. Let's go ahead and save everything so we don't forget that. Save often. And let's drop on right here, and we'll just get a kind of an idea of what the size of this map is, just from what we've built so far. And we'll definitely go through and add some stuff. Right now it's just a bare landscape, but you can definitely see how much detail we already have. And we'll do the RVT so we can get the foam working properly. As a matter of fact, I think you can actually select it and turn off the foam, just so you can see what it looks like without it. Let me see. Oceanology. Let's go ahead to details. Let's go to our foam. All right, there we go. I just turn off the foam real quick so you can actually see the water. Yep, forgot where that was. That was actually in the instance. I thought there was a tick here, but there is not. You have to go into the instance and change it. And I'll change that back once we actually start the RVTs. But this way you can actually look at it and just see exactly what we have. And as soon as we start on the next one, we're going to go ahead and put in our sand, put in our RVTs, and then we'll continue on from there. So as stated at the beginning, I actually spoke with the developers, and it looks like they might be giving me a couple of keys to give away. Go ahead and like and subscribe to keep up on that one, because you definitely don't want to miss that, because this is awesome. And if you can get it for free, that's even awesomer. So definitely keep up with us. And I'm going to leave you guys there, and I'll see you on the next one.